Welcome back to our final segment where we are talking about public finance and its future in Zimbabwe. And we're in the studio. I'm joined by Dr.
Zinyama
and Misty
Manyanya.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for leading us in this amazing conversation. Misty Manyanya, issues of corruption, we often just focus on the government.
Yeah.
What can we say to the individual, to the private sector, to the public sector? I mean, to the public in the sense of NGOs as well.
Yes, you are quite right there. The issue of corruption, unfortunately, has tended to be, over the years, I think, an issue pertaining to government alone. I think it's very important for us to have a broader perspective and understand the issue that corruption is cancerous, okay, and that it affects everyone across society. It grows and it mutates into society, affecting the way we act and we behave in the family, in the community, in the churches, in civil society. Yeah, corruption is an issue, unfortunately, that has tended to be associated only with government, and we need to acknowledge the fact that I think for civil society, for instance, to have a stronger voice in dealing with corruption, civil society itself has got to be clean.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to come to a state where I think you notice the Controller and Auditor General's report only covers state enterprises and state functions. Even in civil society, we need to recognize the fact that our voice will be stronger when our housekeeping is there, when we are clean in terms of the way we operate. So we build a stronger society that way. A stronger society in terms of a civil society that is participating.
I think you just it's a very important, a powerful point, because civil society, we've had some human rights abuses, some financial abuses. So I think it's also important, as you're rightfully mentioning, that not only should we, I think we've always looked at corruption from the state point of view, but we never introspect to say, before I talk about the state, am I standing in the right shoes? Am I political, pull a rag, will we still be standing? But please proceed. Right.
Yes, that is exactly the point. I think our sense of responsibility, I think we need to recover that and realize that the state of Zimbabwe is built by everyone, including ourselves in our individual capacities, and also in terms of our roles and functions in civil society, and not only just looking at the state or at government as the origins and centers of corruption. That broad perspective helps us to redefine our roles and responsibilities as citizens of Zimbabwe.
And I think it comes back to the model that you shared earlier, to say the values that we embrace as a people, because we talk about the government, but I am the one who bathes in the morning and goes to my workplace in the government, and I'm the same person who then turns around and say, oh, the government, this, that. Doctor, looking at also, is it, so when we're talking also about the ease of doing business, who is corrupt? I think in the past we've also seen that even the internationals who come here can also be corrupt. What can we say about their role in ensuring that public finance management is effective in Zimbabwe? We eradicate corruption within the investors themselves and within the government itself.
Yeah, you are very right, Nyari. International corruption is inevitable. It's there. And as a nation, as we formulate also our policies, yes, we need investors. But we should also guard against corruption. When they come here, remember, there is nothing like a free lunch, neither free ride. So they are here for something to promote their national interests. But how do those nationals, both national and personal, if I'm a Chinese, if I'm a Briton, if I'm an American in trying to invest in Zimbabwe, my country comes first.
Oh yeah, I get you.
Then my interest as well. So how I do the business, whether by hook or crook, I'll do that. So as Zimbabweans also we have our own national interest to protect.
So as citizens, what can we do? Because actually that reminds me of, I think, reading about certain individuals who come here and say, maybe even as our government, do we have the law that says before a government allows investors, they have to look at the background of such international investors? For instance, if an investor is known for being corrupt in other countries, can citizens also come in and assist the government to say, these people that you're dealing with are corrupt, we're not allowing that to continue in Zimbabwe, for example?
Yes, indeed. That's why I mentioned earlier on the operating system, the organization and the supervision system in place, where we need to do the background checking. It's very important. The citizens you can also do, and also the government should have a stand-alone infrastructure or a structure, as it were, which does the checking. Let's take, like, for instance, we have now the ZIDA, the Zimbabwe Investment Development Agency.
Yeah.
So, which is facilitating the investment in the country, can do that on behalf of the government and say, okay, this bidder or this contractor, yes, this information, does the organization have the competence, the capacity, etc.
Is the ZIDA a state-owned agency, or it's a parastatal?
It's a state-owned, it's a parastatal,
Okay.
which
So
facilitates the
it's serving
investment.
the people.
Yes, it's serving the people. Then also the civil society, the individuals, us as academics, we can also assist the government. When we start hearing that there is this, we can make a research and make a publication and say, oh, yes, the background, it does the capacity or it does not have. So it will assist us in making sure that at the end of the day, we get the services that we want. Be it a project, be it a program, it will be guaranteed. It's a success.
How available are these? Is the information around these deals? Because for us to act against any international investor, we need to know who the government is engaging. How available is this information for public consumption?
The information is available. You know, the government, you know, every government department in the world, remember we are in the global village. So every organization has a website. So we can Google.
So for instance, when deals are about to happen right now, is it easy for us to know who the government is going to engage with in investments, or what deals are announced for us to stop that, or for you to intervene when you have something to say about a certain investor?
Yeah, but we should take into cognizance the fact that normally what the government does, how the government operates, mega project, the government normally tells us in advance, we are doing A, B, C, D. Like, for instance, if you check, the government said a South African company is coming to Zimbabwe to invest in the electricity. So from there, we can now start the researches and say, okay, the government wants to partner this to do A, B, C, D. What is the financial competence, capacity, standing of that organization? Then yes, and that is the role of even the parliament itself, the oversight, to check all that information, the media, etc.
Wow, amazing. Mr. Manyanya, as we end.
Yes, I think all has really been said by the professor. I think as being part of the 21st century, I think the new information age, no one can hide anymore, as what used to happen in the past. I think we are living at a time when, even though a company A, B, C, D from whatever country may actually be involved in illicit dealing somewhere out there in the world, they will come eventually. That information is going to come out. We're going to learn and know that no, these guys were involved in drug dealing or whatever. And I think the citizens of the world, their eyes are increasingly being opened, and there's greater participation coming from everyone.
Wow, what an episode, what a conversation. We want to really thank you all for staying with us, for sticking with us as we've been learning about public finance management. I want to thank my guests for coming through from the civil society, from the University of Zimbabwe, to come and spend some time with us, educating us. And you, viewers, are the most important. I always come across people on the streets everywhere saying, oh, we love your show, oh, we love this, and I'm like, why don't you write to us? So if you love this show, you have an obligation to write to us. You see our contacts on the screen right now. We are on WhatsApp, on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are everywhere. Now we've got a website, www.identitiesmedia.com. Follow us if you want to lead a conversation, whatever is happening in your community. Contact us, but most importantly, give us feedback on our platforms, and do stay tuned to Identities on various media platforms. Thank you. Have a good one.